Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you can donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3 at gmail.com on PayPal. Should Jews fight their countries of origins anti-Semitism or move to Israel? With convincing arguments on both sides, it's hard to know what to do. Some would say they're allowing the haters to intimidate Jews to the point where they feel that their only option is to flee their countries of birth, is to give them a clear win. What, while that's true, others might say that if your kids can't walk to and from school or take public transportation without being harassed or beaten up, there's no viable future for them there. Especially hard for observant Jews whose identity is obvious. They're forced to weigh up whether they're prepared to hide who they are for the sake of their survival. This is the real dilemma facing Jews from Western countries such as the US, Europe, Australia, Canada, the UK, and who are in a daily battle not only outside of their neighbourhoods but even where they live. Take the most recent case of the North London suburb of Golders Green, where the half of whose residents are Jewish. It was only a week ago that the crazed man wielding a knife stabbed two Jews before being apprehended by an unnamed police officer with the help of a neighbourhood volunteer watch group called Shumrim, translated as guards. The perpetrator was tased and neutralised, but not without first putting up a fight. It was just a few short weeks prior to that attack that four ambulances belonging to Atsala, a volunteer Jewish owned company dedicated to saving Jewish lives, were torched in the same Golders Green area, causing the evacuation of 34 people from nearby homes. All of the suspects appear to be Muslim UK residents who have taken up a systematic campaign to send the unmistakable message that Jews are not wanted in the country that they now control. But this is not unique in the UK. Ron Dickel, president of the Jewish Students' Union of Germany, JSUD, at Germany University, also acknowledges that anti Semitism is everywhere in German universities, followed around by vicious anti Semites shouting profanity laced threats. He too has undoubtedly had to consider whether there is a future for Jews in the country which, following the Holocaust, enacted strict laws forbidding the expression of anti Semitism, classifying it as hate speech, incitement of hatred, insulting or degrading Jewish people became a criminal offence punishable by up to 5 years in prison. But the local Muslim migrant population doesn't honour those laws. Instead, they flagrantly resort to the type of harassment and physical beatings that are meant to frighten people to leave. Making matters worse, a Berlin court proceeded determined that a Jewish man nearly beaten to death was not a result of an anti Semitic incident. Such judgments leave Jews vulnerable, knowing if they that if they can somehow muster the courage to seek justice from the wrongs that they have suffered, they will not necessarily receive it from biased judges who have cowardly taken the side of the Jew haters. Given what Dickel calls a resurgence of traditional medieval style anti Semitism in Germany, why would anyone think that they can win a battle that is already stacked against them? Despite the ominous forecast, there is growing movement of young Jewish students in Germany who are not letting anti-Semitic protesters and people take their space away. Their intent is to continue to appear visibly Jewish in public, while Deckel affirms his belief in the future for Jews in Germany and Europe, stating that has to be fought for. Not everyone has the same kind of gumption and fearlessness, especially if they are elderly women or children. A similar situation has taken place in Norway, where Joel Yestebo, member of the Norwegian Parliament for the Christian Democratic Party, frankly stated, "I'm seriously worried about the situation for Jews in Norway and especially in Oslo right now." Yestebo believes a higher acceptance for anti Semitic behaviour is a contributing factor, saying the situation is pretty serious. One example of that is the shocking recent statement by a professor of a leading Norwegian university who called the October 7th attack the most beautiful thing that happened this century. Although funds have been allotted to protect the Norwegian Jewish community, Yestibo said it's not enough. Consequently, Norwegian Jews are likewise considering leaving Norway. It is no surprise that aliyah from countries such as Canada, France, the US, and Europe are at an all time high. These are the places where Jews are experiencing the greatest threats and attacks by fearless Muslim migrant populations who think that they can succeed in creating Jew free countries. And when laws are disregarded by leaders and lawmakers who fear their own constituency, that's exactly the end result. Sadly, they have sold out to the bullies who are sending a loud message that they are now in charge, making the decision to which populations need to be pushed out. How long will it be before there's also be able to intimidate Christians to leave? Because they're next on the list. Eventually, they will have effectively been able to recreate their Muslim caliphate throughout every Western country, which apparently was always their goal. So, as the threat level of countries is raised to severe, as just recently happened in the UK, only one can only imagine that Jews feel like sitting ducks, waiting for the next attack to take place, since they are likely victims who will be on the receiving end. When such a perilous situation exists, who will be willing to stay and fight against the ignorance and tolerance and downright hatred which is only gaining more momentum by the day? Perhaps if Jews feel encouraged by their leaders promising to do whatever it takes to protect and preserve their Jewish communities, they might be up to the fight. But even if that were to happen, you can't change the minds of haters who are just too invested in a narrative where Jews are the perpetrators of genocide. Facts are meaningless to them. Feeling virtuous as they shout outrageous accusations such as baby killers, it provides them with the missing purpose and meaning their lives lack. How do you remedy that? If weak politicians and leaders continue to capitulate to the extreme Muslim populations in their countries, fighting will cease to be an issue altogether, because fleeing will be the only option left for their Jewish citizens who are simply not being adequately protected. This is so true. We've had October 7th, we've had the Bondi Beach massacre, and we've now had the Golders Green massacre. When is never again going to mean never again? That is my question to a world that is gone ultra anti Semitic. We have to be radical lovers of the Jewish people and Israel for them to feel secure in our countries, where they came after fleeing the biggest massacre of the Jews in the Holocaust. Am Israel High, Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah.